Jared Polin, PhotoKnowsPhoto.com, and in this video, I want to show you the power of RAW files, and yes, it's sort of a RAW versus JPEG video. But I bring up this video because I was in Kenya on safari. I went with a couple of friends, and one of those friends, my buddy Troy, who went on the trip, doesn't have camera experience, doesn't own a camera. I handed him an R3 with a 100 to 500 from Canon, set it to auto ISO, set it to the lowest aperture, and told him how I want him to control the shutter speed, fast or slow, depending on what he's photographing, and of course, I set it to RAW. Well, as you're gonna see in just a second, somehow he must have gotten out of auto ISO and he was off by a mile for an amazing photo, one of the best photos that he captured on the trip, and I had to save it because I had the RAW file. So I'm gonna jump into the RAW file, but also show you the JPEG that's exported from the RAW directly from the same exact file in the camera, so it's what the camera would have exported as a JPEG. Now let's jump in to the image right here, and as you can see, it is a great photo. Troy did an unbelievable job showing the entire vastness of the scene, got his lines straight. I really love what he did, but he was off by a ton. So I had to bring it back to almost 2.5 stops, and this is the edit that I went with. Of course, I played with one of my presets. I probably played with Skittles, and I brought it back to this point, and I'm really happy with the results. It saved it. The RAW file was able to save so much data in it, whereas a JPEG, as we're gonna see, this is the JPEG edited the same exact way. I synced the settings. So you have the same exposure, brought back 2.45 stops, almost 2.5 stops, and this is how that one looks. Look what happens when you zoom in on it. You see the haloing effect around the zebra and the other animals. That is what's happening because this is where it started. This is where the file started, the same exact as the RAW file, and then when we bring it back, sure, it's gonna look fine when you put it on Instagram. Sure, it's gonna look fine on a little screen or when you share it around. But when you do anything else with it, it's not gonna look as good. I'm gonna go side by side here in just a second, but understand that you're seeing a compressed video on YouTube. So I put a link down in the description to Flickr where you will get both of these files, full res exported JPEGs, because I can't upload the RAW file there, but exported from the edits, full res, so that you can pixel peep them and see the differences. So now let's show you them side by side. So as you can see, the RAW file is on the left and the edited JPEG is on the right. So when we zoom in 100%, look how much cleaner the RAW file comes together versus the right side, which is the edited JPEG. Now, I know there's JPEG shooters out there saying, but you're missing the point. I get my exposure right. It goes well beyond just getting your exposure right. But what I want to say to JPEG shooters is, if you do any editing whatsoever in Lightroom or wherever you edit your files after the fact, you might as well have just shot RAW anyway. And I know people are like, but oh, I can't match my JPEGs the same as I can my RAW. Then you need to learn how to edit slightly better, but also understand that this JPEG shot right here, it has an edit on top of an edit, because when you export it or when it's saved in the camera, you have your picture style. You've set your picture style. So if you set it to a little bit more sharpening or a little bit more contrast because you don't want to do editing, which is perfectly fine. Some people say they need to turn around the files super fast and this is what they need to do. That's why they shoot JPEG. You do you, boo. Shoot whatever you want to shoot, however you want to shoot it. I'm just here to show you that RAW is clearly better than JPEG, especially in this situation right here. But when you do the picture style and then you go ahead and edit it after the fact, you're baking a file, it's already baked, so you already have that sharpening and contrast and color tones, and then you're rebaking it the next time you export it. It's common sense to me, but you can see right here the differences between the two. The RAW is so much better. When we go up into the sky, just look at what it looks like in the sky here. The detail isn't the same. It's much smoother and easier and more even on the RAW file. They are edited the exact same way. I used the same settings from one to the other to get this edit. Let me jump in here real quick because I want to show you FroPack 4 in action on this awesome photo that Troy took. But before we do that, please understand that the exposure was already brought down almost 2.5 stops because you want to do that before you apply the presets. So let's start here with Blue's Clues from FroPack 4, followed by Brooklyn. We've got C41 with no grain. We've got Copper Tone with extra bronzer, DeLorean, Kaleidoscope, Saltwater Taffy with grain or no grain, whichever way that you like it. We've got Thick, and we've got Wet, Hot American Summer. So look, if you want to speed up your RAW workflow, give yourself a great starting point, or you're just tired of other people's presets sucking, as you can see, ours do not suck. That's why we created 14 all-new custom Lightroom presets that you can check out right now at froknowsphoto.com/FroPack4. While you're over there, you can play with the sliders to see the befores and the afters, and if you decide to pick them up today, they are currently on sale. Or you could get the Grand Slam bundle, which includes FroPack 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you can save even more. Now, let's get back to the video. So just in case I decided to edit the JPEG file by itself without syncing it, I did the same exact 2.45 stops, brought back almost 2.5 stops, but I tweaked the colors and I tweaked the tones and I tweaked everything slightly different than just syncing the RAW file to the JPEG because they're obviously different. Now you might quickly see the one on the right and be like, wow, it's bright, it's more vibrant, it's better. I can go ahead and tweak the left one to be even more vibrant and brighter if I wanted to. I thought that this was more realistic to the scene, but we zoom in on this, you still see the imperfections. Look at how the grass looks. It's sharper, it just looks overbaked. Same thing with the clouds and the sky. I could 100% make the sky and the clouds very similar on the RAW file, but I liked how this edit looked. So we go here, look at the sky. Look at all of the issues in there. I get it. I get it. You might want to shoot fast, you want to turn things around, but if you ever make a mistake, that is one place for a RAW file, as you can see, just more power and more data. Speaking of more data, the RAW file is 30 megabytes. The JPEG is 4 megabytes. It's like having a race car that's 12 cylinders of goodness, and you're firing on all 12 cylinders with the RAW file, and you decide that you want to drive around with only 4 cylinders powering your vehicle. That's, to me, a JPEG. You're limiting the power of your camera and your files, and you spend all this money to travel around the world to take great photos, and all you do is you're gonna shoot JPEGs, and then they're subpar, in my opinion. I get it. Some people are like, oh, well, not everything's important. I don't know. Every time I take a picture, I kind of think that it's important, especially for the subject that I'm capturing. So I just wanted to show you these side by side. I love the way that the RAW file looks here. I think Troy did a fantastic job. This prints out beautifully on the left. The one on the right isn't going to look nearly as good. It just doesn't carry the same amount of data or the same amount of information that is there, which is the same as data. But I want to show you one other thing with this image that Troy captured, and I want your guys' opinion here. Do you like the black and white, or do you like the color? Let me know down below what you think. I appreciate you guys watching this, but I am a staunch believer in shooting RAW, not just because it helps you fix mistakes, but because it gives you all the data, cleaner files when you're gonna edit. And if you're someone who edits your JPEGs, I don't know why you wouldn't just shoot RAW at that point and edit your RAW files. You can make it as quick as JPEGs, especially if you're going to tweak it. But really nice picture, Troy. This is one of my favorite from the trip. So thank you guys very much for watching. Jared, Polin, froknowsphoto.com. See ya.